to, first on the call yesterday, just listening to it, I mean, it's not here yet.
No.
And if we get half of what they're getting downstate, we're gonna be in trouble up here.
Right. We stayed at 4 for the last, 4 days, 4 or 5 days.
Well, did you hear the call up Charlie's Run?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's more around.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to venture a guess, I bet there's, I don't know, 50, 60 probably,
Mm.
in the county. And just from the people, because you really don't have a head count on
Welcome.
those
This
who are at
service is
home.
provided by freeconferencecall.com. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. If you are the host, press star now. Please enter your PIN followed by the pound or hash.
I'm just getting kind of tired of trying to
Thank
explain
you.
all the
There
construction to
are
people.
4 participants in the conference. Please
That's
announce
why I
yourself.
listen to that
This is
HVA.
Victor, the city manager. Are there any other council members on the line?
The Turkis is here.
Thanks, Deturkis.
Sounds like your dogs are mine too.
So we have
Leon's on mine.
thanks, John Leo.
Hey, John.
We have
Hey.
cups here in person, so we're just waiting for Councilmember Johnson and Bagheera, the mayor.
Yeah, again,
The camera's pointed right that way.
hello.
Yeah, you're the only one.
Hello.
No, I'm just joking, you're not. There's like 6 other
Yeah.
people.
Okay, man, what's up, bro? Watching the live stream, trying to figure out how to do that. I got this part down, I don't have the live stream down. It's really awesome, Otter's looking super casual. I know, what's today? Is it on YouTube?
Casual,
Hey, they see back there.
not no more.
What's it under, what's the name? I don't know.
There's a chief. They're maintaining 6 feet. There's
I
cups.
got you guys by about 6.5 miles. So what would be the search for the YouTube? Go to that email. That has the agenda. You can click on the link on that. And people are watching.
Chief, do you
Yeah, I know, I can't find the
enough
line.
masks and gloves and stuff?
We got enough gloves, and we got enough masks for the time being. I'm worried it's going to get worse. I just put an order in this morning,
Through the thing from yesterday? So that
but she says,
if you need some, I probably got a box.
all right, we probably are sitting at about 50, and Hardware's supposed to get us 35 of those 3 ounce.
Yep.
Sorry. So I think we're all right, but when it comes in full scale, we're gonna be.
And I think I've got 8 or 10 just clear safety glasses.
And we ball with all of our range. Everybody's got their own pair right now.
Okay.
Go get Vander's here.
Hey, Lucas.
How's it going?
Good, how are you doing? John, I think you'll be the only council member here, so there'll be only one in the screen.
Oh, perfect. Just stayed on the couch.
CC Johnston.
Hi, Cece.
Hey, Stacy.
Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Can all the council members,
Voice.
can all the council members on the phone hear us all right?
You'll confuse Lucas and Matt, they both have a lot of bass in their voice.
Yes.
Can all the council members on the phone hear us all right?
Hey, Victor, I am having a hard time hearing you.
Yes, yes. Miranda Miller?
Slide that right over to you.
Can the council members hear me better now?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Still,
Slightly.
yeah, but not coming through strong, Victor.
Do you need this one recorded? For your court, you want it?
How about now?
Better.
Yeah, it's better.
All right.
All right, well, it's noon. I just heard the whistle. So I guess we need to call this meeting to order.
Thank you. Roll call. John Cups.
Here,
John Cups is the only one physically present. Mayor Bagheera,
I'm here.
Councilmember Johnson,
I'm here.
Councilmember Leo,
I'm here.
and Councilmember Nachurkis.
Here.
Great. We do have a quorum. All right, Matt, do you want me to take over?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay,
We got
all right.
The agenda.
Okay. So the one item that we have on the agenda is a temporary moratorium on the issuance of short-term rental licenses. Before we get into that, just for the public that is on the phone or on YouTube, and for the council members, just really want to briefly go over the rules here, just so we can be more as efficient as possible. I'll go over what the agenda item is, then I'll ask each council member in alphabetical order their opinion or to have comments on that, and then we'll keep on going through that order in a cycle until the council members have no comments. Then we'll open it up to the public. We'll let all the public on the phone speak first. They must address themselves by identifying themselves, their name. And then we'll go to YouTube chat to see if anyone has comments on YouTube. And then the council members will go through alphabetical order again for any comments you have to address the public comments. And then whoever wants to, if they want to, can make a motion. And then for any other, when you go to new city council business or old city council business, if any council member wants to bring up a particular item that's not on the agenda, they may do so only if all the other council members agree to discuss that issue today. And that's from our charter. And the purpose of that is because it's not on the agenda, so we want to make sure all council members want to talk about it. And then at the end, we'll do citizen comments on items not on the agenda. And the same rules apply if every council member wants to discuss that public comment or issue, we can. If not, we can wait till another council meeting. Does everyone understand those rules?
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So the agenda the reason we're here today for this special meeting called by council is to discuss a temporary moratorium on short-term rentals. Right now,
There's an echo.
Yeah, people have to, what's happening, the reason why that's happening is because some people are listening to it loud and then it's echoing over their phone. So they have to mute their microphones.
is there still an echo?
it's somebody's fault.
No, not right now, there's not. But
Okay.
you have to mute the microphone. So other than the city council people, the audience needs to do that.
Please, thank you. So this is for a temporary moratorium on short-term rentals. Last year, we approved an ordinance allowing short-term rentals for a fee. This year, right now, there's been some concern that with the governor's orders and the nationwide orders on restricting travel, concerns about people visiting here and staying at those short-term rentals, whether it's for a week, a couple weeks, or up to a month, and potentially putting more of a burden on our residents and our medical resources if the virus does come up here. So there was a suggestion, and this has been going out through the state as well as through other other states in the country about temporarily putting a moratorium on short-term rentals. As you see, Attorney Raymer drafted an administrative ordinance 2021. It is on the screen right now, and you council members should have it in the agenda items that would essentially put a moratorium. There's no time limit on it in this ordinance or this moratorium because we wanted to kind of keep it open until this pandemic is over, until council determines that they want to lift the moratorium. Two other questions that were brought up here in staff were, we suggest that we refund anyone who's already applied for a license, refund them their fee. And then if we lift the moratorium, then they can apply again for that. And also how we would deal with people who already have booked schedules, how the rental owners would deal with that. And I think that's probably more for the owners of the properties to deal with that, but I leave that open for discussion for council. So I guess I'll go with the Mayor Bergara first for any comments.
Laura?
I am in support of the temporary moratorium and agree with refunding their fee for their application to have a short-term rental in town. Yeah, I say other than that, this all looks good to me. The fact that it doesn't have an end date is fine, because we don't know, this is probably going to last longer than May 1st at this time.
All right, thank you, Mayor. John Cups?
I'm in support of the motion. My only question is on the refunds. If somebody currently has already somebody in the resident for a short period of time, should we refund them or keep the money and only refund those that have not got the resident occupied?
I think that we should refund all because that $100 license fee is for the whole year. So if they have someone in there right now, but then we're saying you can't do it for the rest of the year, I mean, it'd be hard to prorate that.
Understood. That makes sense. Okay.
And to go along with that, I kind of discussed this with the attorney that if someone's already occupying a short-term rental, we can't kick them out right now. They have to, based on the governors and the federal,
Stay through their
league.
contract. And
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Okay.
Councilmember Johnston.
I'm in favor of having the moratorium and also refunding those that have already paid.
Okay, thank you.
And when John Cups speaks the next time, could he be a little louder? It sounds like he was very far away.
Yep, we'll have him come closer to the mic. Thank you. Councilmember Leo.
Yes, I am in support of the moratorium. I agree that not having an end date is the appropriate thing to do because we have no idea how long this is going to last. And I think all of the estimates that I've heard are rather optimistic. I think it's going to take longer than any of us would like it to. I am in agreement with refunding everyone's fees. Everyone who has paid a fee this year, I think should get a credit regardless of whether they have anybody in there now. As far as the future, this ordinance or this change precludes any future rentals, so that's good. If there's anyone that is currently in a short-term rental, my position would be that they need to be notified or reminded of what the requirements are for shelter in place so that they're not providing any risk to our residents or others within the city. And I think that should be passed along to the owners, and they should have the responsibility of notifying their renters. And obviously, any future reservations should be canceled.
Thank you, Councilmember Leo. Councilmember Nachirkis?
Yeah, I agree with the moratorium and also the refund. So
All right.
the one question I do have is there's a lot of lights on in homes that we know that are rentals right now. Are we, and if you only have, how many did you say you had, 2 or 3?
We had probably five 5 short-term rent. Those are short-term rentals. Those are for under 30 days. Other rentals up to apartment units, those are not covered under this. Those that have regular rental units.
I'm just wondering how many people are actually up here renting their homes to get away, that are not renting, that are renting to somebody else other than to themselves already.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is that something we can reach out to Graham's or some of the resort renters?
Yeah, I would.
We can try, yeah. Thank you, Councilmember Tricus. I'm just going to cycle back here. Mayor Bagara, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm happy with the way the ordinance is written and haven't heard anything that I'd like to comment on.
Councilmember Cups?
No, I'm all set.
Councilmember Johnston?
Everything seems fine to me.
Councilmember Leo?
Nothing to add on the short-term rental, but the topic of the longer-term rentals had come up. And at that point, we need to, again, I think, address the challenge that presents. Anybody that's going to come in should be covered by the requirement to shelter for 14 days and then follow the requirements of social distancing. Perhaps a more challenging communications effort, but I think it's still important.
Yes. Councilmember Tricus?
I'm good.
Okay. Mayor, at this time, would you like me to open it up to the public?
Yes, I'd be fine.
Okay. Is there anyone on the phone that is listening that would like to speak? If you would like to, please say your name, and then say your comment.
Yes, I would like to speak. My name is Chris Mosher.
What was your name again? Sorry about that.
My name is Chris Mosher.
Chris Mosheri, okay. Please go ahead.
My comment is, I'm assuming that the purpose is to eliminate or at least reduce the exposure of this virus to the members and residents of Harbor Springs.
Yes, that's part of the reason, and also to limit, to not put as much of a strain on our medical resources when it does spread, if we do have more people up here.
Okay, that makes sense. And my question is this going to apply to the establishments such as the Colonial Inn, the Boyne Resort, Best Western, and Stafford, who have hundreds of vacant rooms that can be filled by anybody from anywhere else in the world or United States or Michigan coming in?
I think that's a issue we can bring up with council after we get all the public comments, but we'll have to talk about that.
Because my concern is that if you look at the numbers statistically, we have one rental unit available. That means one person's exposure. But if you're not eliminating this to Boyne Resort, who have hundreds and hundreds of rooms, which means hundreds and hundreds of guests and hundreds of exposures, same with Best Western, Stafford, and Colonial Inn, you're magnifying the statistical chance of the residents of Harbor Springs being infected, as all these establishments are bringing in outsiders who potentially have the virus. And that doesn't make sense to me to limit a renter of one versus hundreds.
Thank you, Chris. Only the Colonial Inn is in our city limits. We cannot regulate the Boyne Highlands, but I'll once we get more public comments, I'll let council members respond. Anybody else on the phone that would like to comment?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Vance Vandale. We have a cottage in Harbor Springs and we do rent it out temporarily. And I guess I have a few different questions. I understand your reasoning for wanting this ordinance. And I agree with the last person's comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you are imposing this on short-term rentals, I know you have bed and breakfast and other things that operate in Harbor Springs that bring in visitors to the community. It doesn't seem that this ordinance covers what you're trying to accomplish if it doesn't include those establishments as the last person mentioned. So, you know, you said you have a very few short-term rental agreements with people, but there are other establishments that bring visitors in. So why aren't those covered under this ordinance? And I guess my other question is, if there is a stay-at-home shelter-in-place rule in Michigan now, why do you even need this ordinance? If people under state law are not allowed to travel, how are they even going to get to Harbor Springs unless they're breaking the law? So why do you need this ordinance on top of it? It seems a little bit redundant, and it doesn't cover all the establishments that bring in visitors to the community. So those are a couple of questions I have regarding this. And I also wonder if your purpose is to reduce the number of visitors coming to the community. Harbor Springs is largely a resort community with a lot of second home owners who are going to be coming under normal circumstances to the community and doing exactly what you don't want to happen. Are you going to issue some kind of ordinance that says that second homeowners can't come to their second homes, which in Harbor Springs? How is that going to work?
Thank you for your questions. Anyone else? We will address them after public comment. Anyone else on the phone have any comments?
Victor, Kenneth Fletcher, right?
Hi, Tim. Please go ahead.
Victor, this is Kenneth Fletcher Rice. I get that people are saying there are other vulnerabilities. Boeing has shut and has no intention at the moment of as far as the other municipalities, we can't do anything. But anything we do in our city, it's our city. I've already written to the governor, we need her to address the long-term travel, but we need to do whatever we can in this town to stop the virus. Even if it's a small step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Whoever is on the line making a lot of noise with pots, pans, and other things, please put yourself on mute. Thank you. Anyone else have anything on the phone to say?
This is Van Dale again. I just have a question with the writing of the ordinance. When there is no longer a stay-at-home shelter-in-place rule in Michigan, there's no termination date in the current ordinance. Why wouldn't it end when that stay-at-home shelter-in-place rule is no longer in place? Because I'm assuming that rule will stay in place until the danger of this pandemic is over. So why wouldn't that be specified in the ordinance that this will stay in place until, or we will reconvene after the shelter-in-place rule is no longer active, and then
Comment. Hearing none, I will move to the chat on YouTube and read the comments. Comment from Eric Winsma would like to know if an end date has been identified. Will the moratorium be lifted once the governor lifts the stay-at-home order? From user Nancian1, I assume this includes hotels as well. From Louise Finkelstein, if we have renters staying more than 30 days, then it does not apply, question mark. Tim Fletcher Rice, no extension to current temporary rentals. When the original negotiated term ends, they must leave. Laura Hunt, can you repeat the end date for the moratorium on short-term rentals? Tim Fletcher Rice, Boyne Resorts have closed all accommodations. Michaela Fisher, I can answer anything on behalf of Graham Management. Jody Eubank, Stafford's is all closed. Kate Bassett, thank you for being proactive. Tim Fletcher Rice, even if shelter in place is lifted, that does not ensure that your medical system has recovered sufficiently to support the community. Michaela Fisher, how far out should I cancel reservations? So that's a lot of comments from both the public and online. From what I just read, as well as recapping from the public, there was asking about Colonial Inn and bed and breakfast and other rentals or short-term stay areas in the city, whether those should be also closed temporarily. The question about the governor's second ordinance talking about the second homeowners, whether they should be not allowed to come up. Also, the current ordinance of stay in shelter or shelter in place, whether that should be, whether this ordinance or this moratorium should expire once that order expires. So I guess the one thing I'll say about, before I pass it over to Mayor Bagheera, is that we have issued a letter to all homeowners, including second homeowners, and we put it on our social media and on our website, asking and requesting that second homeowners do not come up to visit. We can't really go beyond that because the governor has told second homeowners they're allowed to go to their second homes. So it'd be very difficult for us to act contrary to what the governor has declared. So Mayor, I'll pass it off to you for any comments first.
Okay. Yeah, I say as far as an end date, I don't think we can put anything in there, because I'm assuming, the president's shelter in place is longer than the governor's, and we should probably go by the federal standards at this point. I don't think we even have a B&B in town anymore, and I guess if we do, we should probably notify them and consider that a short-term rental. Yeah, for canceling reservations, don't have any idea about that. Yeah, the end dates. Yeah, that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Cups.
To add, I know Boyne is shut down. We should probably reach out to the townships with Birchwood, and then reach out to the Colonial just to see where their standards are. I know Boyne's been following, what's going on. Far as how far out closings, listening to some HBA information earlier this morning, I would look at it canceling reservations till at least early mid-May. Right now, shelter in place is through the end of April, and depending on our medical situation here in our area, that may be extended. Other than that, I don't know of anything else I can add right now.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnston.
I feel that future rentals, short-term rentals in Harbor should be canceled. We don't know how long the stay in place is going to be. And I think it's better to cancel them now than call and say, you can't come.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Leo.
Agree with everything that has been said. I think we should and will retain control of our decisions. I agree with monitoring what the state and federal governments are doing. But at the end of the day, even when those are listed, we need to make sure we're making the right decision for our community.
Correct.
As far as individuals that have second homes here, yes, they're entitled to come to their home, but we need to make sure that they are following the dictates when they get into town, and every time they move, that they self-isolate for 14 days, and then follow the distancing guidelines to make sure that they don't bring with and create a problem.
Thank you, Councilmember Leo. And just before I get to Councilmember Naturkis, I got an update here that the Colonial Inn is not taking reservations until May 15th as of now. There's an update there. Councilmember Naturkis, anything to add?
No, I'm in agreement with, John Neal pretty much said everything, just the way I would probably say it. So
Okay,
I'm good with that. Yep.
thank you. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt administrative ordinance number 2020-1.
I'll second that.
So just to read again from there's some comments on YouTube. few more. Canceling all rentals in the future will hurt our economy, from Jody Eubank. Michaela Fisher said this would mean canceling hundreds of reservations through my office. And then Louise Finkelstein, how will you enforce the ordinance? We have Chief Knight here. I think he can maybe discuss about enforcement.
We would do enforcement probably based on, complaint driven. We're not gonna, I mean, I don't see us going door to door to monitor these. I mean, unless somebody has any other ideas, and I can reach out to our neighboring communities like Charlevoix, Petoskey, if they adopt the ordinances similar to ours, to see how they're gonna enforce it. That's my stance on it.
Okay, thank you, Chief Knight. Regarding canceling all rentals, future rentals, would you want to do it through a date, such as, or not? I think that's the question that we have, is whether do we do it indefinitely, or do we put a date for now, as Colonial Inn did May 15th? Do we put a date through May, through June?
I would recommend that right now, we just kind of put it through middle of May and we monitor the situation. We know right now it's
Yeah, I
through
agree.
April. So if we just say right now, middle of May,
I think it-
and then
This
we,
is Cece. I think we should cancel indefinitely.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with John Cups. I think we should set a date and then revisit it again.
I understand the desire to set a date, and we can certainly do that, but everybody, and I understand the cost and the effort that's going to go into canceling reservations, but if we do put a date out there for mid-May, everyone needs to understand that that's not a hard date, and that it is possible or likely that it will go further.
When is our first scheduled meeting in May?
Well, our next scheduled meeting is April 20th. So then our first meeting is probably the first week of May, probably the 5th.
Yeah, so maybe we should write a date of whatever that May meeting is.
May 4th.
and an option to revisit an extension on the moratorium.
I think that is an option of let's to May 4th, and then we can re-extend the moratorium, is what the mayor is saying.
Just to be clear, the moratorium does not have a date on it.
Correct.
We're talking about a date that people can plan around, but it's not an official hard date.
no, that's why I'm thinking if we just said the middle of May, kind of like what the Colonial Inn's doing and probably some other resorts in the area, thinking this is going to bypass us. Once they lift the stay-at-home order, that basically means that all construction goes back, that everybody is going to be back out and about. It's going to be kind of hard to tell people they can't come here and do everything. So I think what we're kind of trying to do here is just stick along with the stay-at-home order. And once that's lifted, things will slowly go back to normal. But to give them some kind of a date to plan around, if we just shoot for the middle of May right now and then revisit it at one of our upcoming meetings, we'll know a little more, as this is an ever-changing situation.
Agreed. My only point is that the state and the federal dates might get pushed out as well. So as long as we're all in agreement, having a planning date is fine.
Correct.
The first council meeting would be.
Hi, this is Vance Lancaster again, Van Dale. As a person who does rent their cottage, it would be really helpful to have that date because, you know, we do have rentals out in July and August, and I hate to cancel those at this point if the moratorium is going to be lifted at some point prior to that. So it'd be great, you know, now I know if I have any rentals, which I don't until May 15th, I should cancel all those. If you guys meet in May and decide it should be pushed out, then I could cancel those that are later out rather than canceling them all now where the moratorium might be lifted and then I lost out on revenues from those rentals for no reason. So it would be really helpful to have a date, which I understand is just a guide to people who do rent
it's not something that's, set in stone. That would be very helpful.
Thank you. And then, council members, I'll just read a few more from the YouTube chat. From Eric Winsma, don't pick a date, people, tie it to when the order is lifted. I doubt the city has legal authority to do anything else. Jan agrees with Eric. Tim Fletcher Rice says no date, but do review in mid-May. Jody Eubank says she disagrees with Cece. We have to think of our economy. And then Jody Eubank, I agree with John, implying John Cups, I believe. Do we have a revised, do have a motion on the table? Do we have a revised motion or withdraw that motion and a new motion to either put a date when the council will review this moratorium without necessarily putting an end date on the moratorium? This is what I heard from the mayor, but putting a date for when the council will review this moratorium, which would be May 4th, the first meeting in May.
That's fine.
I would like to add, I mean, I support the motion and then add that we include if there are any B&Bs within the city or whether they fall under this moratorium, and to revisit the stay at our May 4th meeting.
Okay.
Agreed.
So is that a motion, a revised motion by Cups? So that was a revised motion by John Cups. Was that a second, John Leo?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Any other discussion by council members?
Nope.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote here. Mayor Bagheera,
Yes.
Councilmember Cups,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston,
Reluctant, yes.
Councilmember Leo,
Yes.
and Councilmember Macherkis.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. All right, so I guess we move on to item 2 on our agenda, which is city council new and old business. Again, to repeat, if there's an item that's not on the agenda that a council member would like to discuss, all council members would have to agree to discuss that item based on our charter. So I'll start with Mayor Bagheera. Do you have anything you want to discuss?
Victor, this is Jim Raymer. Do you want to handle a motion to refund the license fees that have been paid to the city so far? I don't think that was included in the prior motion.
We could do a motion on that as well, or we would just refund them, but we'll do a motion. Okay. Anyone want to make a motion?
I would, based on Jim's recommendation, I would make a motion that we agree to refund any fees paid year to date.
I'll
I'll
second.
second that.
All right.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
New or old business today?
Councilmember Cups,
Nothing on my end.
Councilmember Johnston,
Nothing?
Councilmember Leo.
Yes, I was not able to attend the last council meeting, so I sat through the 2+ hour YouTube video, which was an interesting challenge. And on the topic of the sidewalk work that is to be done, I understand that there is a request for quote out, and I would like to propose that that request for quote include that companies bidding on the work include an option for the brick surrounds to the tree grates. I looked at detail at the numbers that were presented by the DDA. I respect the amount of work that went into putting those numbers together. I'm not confident that they were all that accurate. So I'm not sure that the estimated cost of the brick option is accurate. And now would be the time to get estimates, just given the opportunity that we have to do a better job and something that we will not have the opportunity to change for the foreseeable future. We're not going to be cutting into sidewalks, I hope, in our lifetimes. So I would just propose that the quote include that option.
So if I just summarize what Councilmember Leo said was when council approved the downtown tree base solution or proposal, the council approved staff to go ahead and get put out a quote or an RFP for bids that included, without the brick border option. Mr. Leo is asking that when we do put out that RFP, that we do give the bidders an option to price out a brick border and how much that would cost.
That's correct, and that is based on my, again, sitting through the meeting and seeing the kind of universal agreement that it looked really good and that the reason for excluding it was cost. Well, let's find out what the actual cost might be, and if it's high at that point, then we could still say thanks, but no.
Mayor Bagheera, your thoughts?
Yeah, I said that's fine. I mean, if you want to go through that, it is a cost issue, and I doubt if it's going to come down enough to sway us on it. But I don't think it's that big of a deal to include it in the bidding, as long as they break it out in a separate price.
Thank you. Councilmember Cups?
I would agree to include it in the package, just have it as a line item separate. Then we know what the separate cost would be, and if we want to include it, we can. And, we've already kind of approved not to have it, but if we want to add it, we can. So I would go along with that.
Councilmember Johnston?
Yeah, I'll go along with having a new estimate made.
And Councilmember Nachurkis?
I'm gonna agree with CC. I have another one.
Okay. Any comments from the public on the phone?
Victor, this is Margot, the DDA director.
Hi, Margot.
Hi, and I have been in contact with Joe O'Neill, and he said it is not difficult to add an amendment to amend the bid going forward. So if that's what council wants to do, I can definitely be in contact with him and make that happen.
Margot, are the bids out? Have the bids gone out yet?
The bids have not gone out. He is still working on the bid and kind of getting it prepared with all of the smaller details.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Margot. Anyone else on the phone have any questions or comments about the brick border? All right, we do have one comment on YouTube from Jody Eubanks saying that the DDA and tree committee agreed with Leo on the brick. So do we have a motion from a council member?
I'll make that motion. I'll make a motion that we put a bid out for the brick border.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have, I'll do a roll call here. Mayor Bagheera?
Yes.
Councilmember Cups?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston?
Yes.
Councilmember Leo?
Yes.
And Councilmember Nachurkis?
Yes.
Motion carried. Councilmember Leo, do you have anything else to add for new or old business?
I had a question regarding enforcement. If I remember correctly, when we approved short-term rentals, there was a requirement that short-term rentals be identified with contact information at each rental. And I'm not sure what the status of that is. As I walk around town, I'm pretty sure I walk by short-term rentals where I can't see that. And then is there a list of the registered short-term rentals available on the city website so that people have access to that information?
We do have a list. I don't know if that list is on the Nick? I don't think that list is on the website. The staff does have that list though.
Given what we're dealing with, I would suggest that list be available on the website so everybody knows where those rentals are. And are we enforcing the requirement that they be listed, that there be contact information posted visibly at each address?
Chief Knight, was there a discussion about that a while ago about whether people should post, short-term rentals have to post their contact information for,
I thought council said not to. I was thinking that they were not required to.
That is correct.
we did have a follow-up discussion last year, and so that's, I think I agree with.
From my understanding is that we were not requiring them to do so based on some confidentiality
Yeah,
matters, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, John, that is true. We did talk about that, and Kyle and I actually talked about if we wanted to get that information or whatever, that they put it in like a lockbox or a secure location to where if he needed the information or if he didn't have it at the city, that it would be available, but we weren't going to post that information on the front door.
Because actually it was going to come from their short-term rental agreement. There wasn't going to be, all that information was going to be when they applied for the short-term license.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how we were going to be able to.
Well, thank you for clarifying. I don't remember that follow-up conversation. Does that then mean that list cannot be made public? How about just the addresses themselves without any private information?
we can,
I think that information would be available here probably, John, but I don't think we can publicize that on the website.
Well, in
how
an
about-
environment where we can't actually go there, that's a problem.
how about, I think Attorney Jim Raymer's on the line. Raymer, do you have any comments or thoughts on that?
Well, I see nothing wrong with putting an address on the website as to where there are short-term rentals. That's not releasing any confidential information about anything.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
Not publishing supplemental information such as telephone numbers. That seems inappropriate, but the address, I see nothing wrong with that.
we do have a couple of comments from on YouTube chat. Louise Finkelstein, I don't want my cell phone number on a website, and Lily Carl, you'll have that info with the license application. So I think from what I'm getting from Mr. Raymer and other council members, it's all right if we put just the address of that short-term rental, but we won't put the contact information on that list.
I think that provides the information that residents are entitled to. Thank you.
Mr. Knight, Chief Knight?
My only concern in thinking through this is that if we make that public, that's putting those addresses out there saying, hey, there's nobody here if you want to come in and do a crime. That just food for thought. It basically being like, if you're going on vacation and we put a list out that you're going to be gone for vacation for 3 weeks. I'm just.
Is my question. It's up to the police chief to enforce that within the city. I don't know why we would want to put that out there anyway.
If I had a short-term rental next to me, I would want to know that it is, in fact, one could argue that it's kind of obvious if you live next to a short-term rental, that's what it is. I get it.
I don't, this is Kyle, and I'm not saying one way or another. I just, as a short-term rental owner, and if I know that nobody's gonna be in that for, let's say, 2 or 3 months, I would be concerned about making that public knowledge to the general public.
So we got,
But those are also available online too. People would know that.
we got three comments from the public on YouTube. Two say they agree with the chief. Michaela Fisher says, why we want to put that list out there is because people are renting without reporting it. So that way people from the public would know that rental is being rented, and then they can file a complaint saying, hey, this is being rented. Let me call the police chief, tell him that there's a rental that's skirting the temporary moratorium.
And I would agree with Michaela, this is chief again, that if they're doing business right, by not making it public, then people can sneak around it.
Mayor Bagheera, any thoughts?
I'm not comfortable with putting a list out of people or of the addresses of rentals. I mean, that's just, you're asking for trouble. People are gonna be, driving by to see if their people are staying there, and then the chief's comment that, it's an invitation to thieves to come break into a place. So I would say no to putting the list out.
Councilmember Cups?
We're kind of at a 50-50 here, but I mean, I agree. I don't really want to see things put out there, but if we put something in, let's say the Harbor Light or whatever, along the lines of what we got going on here, and maybe just put, if you know of a situation, a rental situation or something, maybe next door, contact City Hall or contact the police chief, might help in Michaela's comment there, and help police maybe the situation where some people aren't necessarily following the guidelines, might kind of help us out here in this situation.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnston?
Yeah, I agree with what John just said.
Okay. Councilmember Leo?
Yeah, I don't think we should publish it.
Okay, thank you, Cece. Councilmember Leo?
This is actually a really good discussion. It brings out all the different perspectives. I guess partly where I was coming from is that these are businesses, and I think information about businesses is something that residents are entitled to have, understanding, not wanting to publicize any private information, knowing that an address is a rental and making it a risk for break-in in this town, particularly during the winter where it's kind of obvious, is neither here nor there. If someone were to call City Hall, Victor, and ask if an address is a short-term rental, would they be told if it is?
I don't think so.
Chief Knight?
I don't think that, I don't know, I would say that our approach to that would be is we take the information, if they had a complaint about somebody's short-term rental, they would send us instead of saying, yes, that is. And that way we could follow up on our end of it and see if it is or is not without letting, because we don't know who's on the other end of the phone. That's my concern.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So
Councilmember
that's all I
Nachirkis?
had. Thank you.
Anything to add? Councilmember Nachirkis, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
kind of split on it too. I'm in agreement with Matt. I think that if people know, I think people ride by, I think you're kind of opening something up. But I'm also in agreement that, people need to know. I'm going to probably go with, I don't think we should publish it.
Okay,
I think if the city knows who has it, I think that's enough. I don't think the public needs to be riding by and doing that. I think if Chief Knight knows, then we're good.
Yeah, and this is Kyle again, and we'll get the list, and I'll inform the guys that we'll keep an eye for Michaela and for the people who are doing it right. We'll monitor those homes, so we can take that, be proactive on that end. If we have the list within the police department.
thank you, Chief. Is there any comments from the public on this issue? This on the phone? Hearing none, I read out all the comments from the YouTube, the latest one from Nancy, and don't punish the rule followers. Do we need to have a motion, a vote on this, or it probably
I
wouldn't
don't
hurt?
think so. I think it's pretty clear on where we stand, but thank you everybody for the discussion.
All right, so we won't put the list on the website. Councilmember Leo, any other items, new or old city business?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Nachirkis?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll just really move on to any citizen comments on items not on the agenda. Anyone from the public, I'm sorry, that's on the phone, have anything to say?
Victor, this is Margot again.
Hi, Margo.
Hi. I just had kind of an idea program that I wanted to mention to council. In Traverse City right now, because of all of the businesses that are closed, they're offering a promotion that if you buy $50 business gift card, then they're giving a $10 downtown gift certificate. I don't know if this was something we might be interested in or something that the city might be willing to support, maybe like $100, $50 or $100 gift card, and then we offer a $10 gift certificate to guess I would kind of say any downtown business.
Is that something that, have you brought that up with any of the DDA members, Margot?
I haven't, I just found out about this program.
Okay. Mayor Bagheera?
I think, if the DDA wanted to do something, it's fine, but I don't think that's a city, government project that we want to get involved in at this time.
Councilmember Cups?
Okay.
Yeah, right now I agree with the mayor on that. We've got enough going on right now.
Councilmember Johnston?
I agree with Matt.
Councilmember Leo?
I agree.
And Councilmember Nachirkis?
I agree.
All right. Thank you, Margot.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the public on the phone? Hearing none, I will see if there are any comments from YouTube, and there's no other comments.
To be discussed, I will adjourn the meeting at 12:51. Thank you all for calling in.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's hope we don't have to do too many electronic meetings. But it worked.
It didn't go too awful bad, actually.
It didn't go too bad.
I don't know why I was thinking 1 o'clock.